Rob, you have to be completely thrilled, and I know as a coach that's almost against the law.
Yeah.
You've got to be. I mean, your first, second, and third string are playing so well.
Well, it's training camp. You know, you don't want to be deceived. You know, you're a work in progress, aiming towards the goal, but they're working their butt off, which is what you want. You know, and their mindset's in the right place. And you're building that continuity, which is what you want to see. But they're flying around, and we're doing some good things. It's so hard because in the moment you're like, we got to get better at this, we got to get better at that, and you're on the details. But they're doing some good things.
What are you seeing from Matthew Butler?
Matthew Butler, maturity. I'll keep it real. When I got here last year, I don't know how he wasn't as coachable. He was more, hey, I did it this way in college. He's grown up. He's embraced. It took a full season for him to. We've talked a lot about keeping his cleats in the ground, keeping his base. He's such a strong kid. He has to be able to utilize his power. So that starts with his base. I already know he could rush the passer a little bit. He's twitchy. He's strong. A guy that was irritating to be around to a guy that I love and just plays hard. And what's there not? He runs the ball. He's strong. He's tough. He can rush the passer. All he needed to do was work on double teams, anchoring down and keeping his cleats in the ground. And he's doing that. Is it perfect? No, but like he's a worker, man. He is a worker.
Is it a group that will embrace the massive expectations of the group?
Something I don't even really talk about. I really don't even think about. We just try to meet the standard every day. It's not cliche, but it's like, let's go be about it. Let's go be about it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to see it on a day-to-day basis. We should start off with pursuit and what the standard is, and we talk about what not the standard is. So it's like expectations. It's a waste, man. And it's what was Nick Saban say? It's rap boys.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not something that there's any benefit in talking about. None. It's no different than it's easy. That's why I already hit him with it. That's going to be the burden we're going to have to, or the narrative we're going to have to fight this year. It's easy to be the underdog. Everybody telling you stink last year headed into the season, and then now everybody tells you how great you are. My job is to keep you humble, keep you hungry, tell you exactly who you are. That's why they call themselves the misfits. Nobody wanted you, outcast. There's a million stories in that room we talked about this morning that, you know, down and out.
Rob, another player that maybe needed a little bit of a mindset change was Byron Young, and he talked about, you know, the mindset change that he had during the offseason, and it feels like he's flashing out there, and he came in and has taken that on the field.
Well, he's in better shape. It's the strain, it's the finish, it's the nastiness, it's the style of play, which is a real thing. I don't care if you're in perfect position to make the play, you got to make the play. So, like, what do you want me to do for that until you make that decision personally? So he's come back in better shape. He understands what the expectation is, and he's worked his butt off. When they're their hardest critic, and they're beating you to the punch and coming off to the sideline, I missed off my hands on this play. I wasn't right on that. That's how you know people drop the word development all the time. That is development. You know, rather than what happened on that play, they have no clue. You know, so you know he's striving for perfection like the rest of the room, and you know that's kind of the standard. And when you have 94 and 98, it makes it kind of easier. It's the truth.
There was a play yesterday with Tyree. He comes rushing up, quarterback gets rid of the ball, goes all the way around the line of scrimmage and essentially makes the tackle 30 yards down the field. Showed his speed, showed his acceleration. How much is, when you see stuff like that, is, okay, now we're getting the Tyree we drafted, he's healthy?
It's funny you mentioned that play. We showed it today. That is his best pursuit clip he's had since being a Raider. That's the truth. He ran. He didn't just run. He finished with a punch 30 yards down the field. Now can you do that every play? So now that you put that on tape, can you meet that standard every play? That goes to conditioning and nutrition and being able to do it at the level that other players do. And that was awesome. Like that's real life of what we talk about. So that's above anything else that's most important in our room.
Byron, Matthew, and Tyree, how much of a blessing is it? You've got Butler, you've got Jank, you got Christian Wilkins. You have the guys that set the standard so high.
What's the question?
How much of it is it for you to be? One thing for you to coach,
Yeah.
but they see Jank, Butler, and Christian setting the standard so high. How much does it help? Okay, it's just not my coach. These are the guys ahead of me and how they play.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, it makes it good, but like complacency is human nature at the same time. So you gotta get on their tail and be like, hold everybody to the same standard on everything. You know what I mean? To answer your question, yes, it is easier, especially from a technique fundamental standpoint. But like Adam got reached yesterday on the first play of start fast. I'm like, hey man, not the standard. You know what I'm saying? He knew it, but you still got to show it. You still got to go through it, and no different. Like what's great is the player has to be held to that standard. So 98's the same way, and it makes it easier.
One of the reasons they said they came to was bonding, camaraderie, be around each other. Has your unit kind of taken advantage of? Like, what have you thought about being here for like 2.5 weeks?
Training camp on the road, computer doesn't work, nobody cares. Stuck in the bubble upstairs by the pool, nobody cares. It's hot, the AC goes out. Like it reminds me of back when I was in high school going to training camp. We went to Cal UPA, you're in the dorms, but that's a real. Like you want to callous and build you have to go through some adversity. You know what I mean? And so the coach is included in that, it's scrambling, practice. Got to go set up my drills like quickly after this. And so all of that, and not being at home, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that being out here has brought that.
A couple of days ago, Byron Young, he came out and said, last year I came in and I thought something was, I deserved something, and he realized that he didn't. Everything has to, be earned. And so, with that being said, have you really been able to see that switch in him from last year to this year of really just realizing, like, this isn't going to just come to me, I have to go take it?
Well, the fact of him saying that is impressive. The fact of him noticing that is impressive because he didn't even practice in training camp last year. He was hurt with a hamstring, and he thought, well, I don't want to speak for what he thought, but you work, you play. You know what I mean? And he's put in the work, and he's gotten better. So he's trending that way. He needs to continue to do it. But to me, I think it's awesome. That's coming from him.
You've seen Snowden out there getting some run. Has he kind of inserted himself into?
Snowden is coachable. He tries to do what you're going to ask him. And on it, like we were talking about the pass rush yesterday, about him being too high. He fixed it the next day. Was at a nice tight rush angle. Obviously long, talented. Learning to use his hands. He played off the ball backer in college. He's still, and then he was out for a little bit. And he's still developing as well. Really talented and is very coachable.
Rob, you've been able to relate very well. Your players don't like you, they love you. And they bring you up, not when we do. What is it that has allowed you to connect so well with your unit?
I mean, that's so humbling, that statement in and of itself. That's what coaching is. I tell them, I coach them how I want to be coached. They are my priority over anything else. And knowing them as people, knowing them as players, and when you have shared values of, I'm a Johnny Tryhard walk-on at heart, that had to, and I have a bunch of those like-minded individuals in that room. Like I said, they, self-giving the misfits. They stole it from, I think I maybe heard it from the hockey team had it first, right? And then I'm like thinking of all our guys who've been cut 5 times, gets cuts there, I mean, I could go on through each individual story, which are all unique and great. But when you have genuine relationships, I guess those are just a result of that. And I try to meet the same standard as a coach that they're trying to aim for. I'm no different. Hold myself to the same standard I'm asking them. So it's natural, it's fun. I love coming to work every day because of the people I have in that room.
as you get to know them.
That's it.
Hey, Paul.
Hey,
From ESPN.
Rob,
Good to
thanks.
see you again. Yeah. Hey, I covered the SAC Summit at UNLV earlier in the summer.
Yeah.
What do those guys bring back from that? I mean, it seems like it's a very cool thing where they're picking things up from guys across the league, elite pass rushers. Do they bring stuff back and ideas to you, or do they just kind of work on it on their own?
As soon as I think I was talking to Max the day of,
Yeah.
and rushers come in all different shapes and sizes, and hearing what works for certain guys, but there are commonalities within that, and details, details, rush angles, hand placement, sets, games, you know what I mean, and maybe saying the same thing but saying it a different way. You know what I'm saying?
So that connects to them.
Yeah, and to me, as a coach, a lot of coaches get caught up in hearing themselves talk. You want to hear what the players know, what they think, what they feel, what they like, what works. You know, they play. You have to listen to them. You know, and those details are the difference between winning and losing every time. I think I said this last interview. Like, my job as a coach is to set the standard. It's how we run a me game, or a TE or an ET. Of how we do it. Like, a rookie player needs that standard, like baseline. Then you'll be amazed if you empower them within that of things that they can realize, pick up to make things better.
What do you see from Byron Young's game?
We already asked the part, right? We got consistency, work ethic, mindset, finish, being able to be his own hardest critic, maturity, which is all positive. You know what I mean? Knows, he's still a work in progress. You know what I mean? He knows that, but he's doing better. He's improved.
Myra Gomez.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you? I'm the Spanish now.
Nice. Nice to meet you.
Just a quick question. When you talk about giving a voice to the players, and AP also mentioned how important it was for them, why, in your opinion, is it important for them to have a voice and be able to be heard?
Information, I told him this morning, information given is only worth a darn if it's received. So I can sit there and hear myself talk, but if they have an opinion on it, whether it's a disagreement or agreement, you always want to be understood, with what you're coaching. And that's just kind of how I see it, you know what I mean? So I want to know their mindset, because that's what matters when the ball snaps.
And you mentioned setting a standard. Patrick Graham came in week one, and the first thing he did is he showed how upset he was because he had made one mistake as a defensive coordinator. How do you all work on setting that standard for rookies, and then even setting a higher standard potentially for players like Max Crosby, who already set that bar so high?
Setting the standard as coaches or players?
As players and coaches.
Oh, shoot. I messed something up yesterday. I think we were in a walkthrough. I was hot about it, but I had to be like a player. I had to kick it. It was in a walkthrough, like how we were adjusting something versus certain formation. You never want to have doubt as a coach, because it creates doubt as a player. We need to talk about this again. I don't want to do that out on the field. I'll go up and I'll say, hey, not the standard. From me. That's what I'll tell them, because the requirement is so high for them. When we do the drill, like, perfection is the standard. So hand placement, eye control, they have to understand those baseline things to aim for perfection. So I kind of see that as my job. Like, when it comes to coaching it, fundamentals 101, I'm pretty confident across the board that we're where we need to be. It's just making that clear to them so they can work on it on a day-to-day basis.
Robbie, the best friend of a defensive backfield is a defensive line. The best friend of a defensive line is a defensive backfield. I'm curious, it really stood out to me in the scrimmage. Last year there were times the defensive backfield maybe wasn't as tough as they're demonstrating this year. Can you sense an improvement in that unit? Because in the scrimmage, there were times their coverage was buying your guys' time.
No question. It's always tied together. Those are conversations. I mean, Max came over during the scrimmage. We were getting home. Hey, ball's getting out. What's going on? So you want to marry the rush with the coverage, and no different. Like, that time clock in your head when they're buying time, and I'm staring at the front of when something should be happening. And hey, we need to fix the rush here, but they're doing a great job from a communication standpoint. Disruption on the ball. I mean, Jack, what, 18, Jack? I mean, he's fun to watch.
Even Jacoby.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Jacorian.
Yeah, Jacorian's doing great. He's doing great. It's hard, you watch the end zone copy first and the sideline second, opposite with the front. So it's been good, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.